how about you try some long run coffee? I like long run coffee. That didn't give me the runs.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Ken Jr. from Giving It a Try. Today we're talking Maine 70.3 Augusta race recap. We're going to talk about the course in general, would I recommend the race, how my race day went, and just some odds and ends and thoughts about the weekend and race day. So as you saw in part one, we went up there, we scoped it out, we pre-planned everything. I had some hopes, thoughts, and ambitions going into that race. But first, what we're going to get into is just talking about the course in general. As some of you may know, this race in Maine used to take place in Old Orchard Beach. I did that race twice. This course definitely differed from that as opposed to type of terrain, technicality of it, location for sure. I really liked Old Orchard Beach because it was very family friendly. I was able to take the family up there. We would stay right on the run and bike course. You would be able to see the racers back and forth. This time, being in the city of Augusta, accommodations weren't as easily available to be so close to the race that morning. So this was a solo mission that I went up with by myself. Saw some friends up there racing, so the family stayed home. Accommodation wise, I was able to secure a hotel for this race outside of the city. It was probably about 40 minutes away. Those were kind of the best values, especially if you don't book early. That would be my big recommendation here, is to book early. Towards the end, I said, let me look at some Airbnbs. I was able to find some in the area. I actually found one. It was a studio above the second floor of a guest house on someone's property, which actually, after I booked it, realized it was right on the bike course at around mile 22. So it was perfect to be able to ride some of the bike course when I got up there. Then I was able to actually ride the entire course in my car and just kind of scope it out. So it was very good. I'm glad I was able to change to that Airbnb. The accommodations were phenomenal. She was a great host. Place was super clean. Everything I could ask for. Nice and quiet. Definitely better than the hotel. I was able to just take my bike inside, in and out, and my gear. The car was right there. I didn't have to travel up and down the stairs and into the parking lot. And just super easy checking in and out. So Airbnb was the way to go. So let's talk about real quick the course. Ironman has this race listed as a average swim temperature of 69 degrees, a downriver swim, a rolling bike, and a rolling run. We're going to get into that and discuss exactly how that played out. Swim start, 6 a.m. was race day. That was the race start. Transition starts at 4:30. Recommended getting there super early. Parking was never an issue. Not on Friday, not on Saturday when it was even busier with bike drop-off, or even on race day. I got there pretty early, but there were people there shuffling in, and I was able to park in the same lot all 3 days, which was maybe a half mile from transition. So I was able to walk down and have no issues. There was also multiple parking lots around there, and I really didn't hear of anybody having too many issues with parking on race morning. Ironman Village, transition, everything right there. One convenient location. The finish line is right next to it. So all in all, out of convenience, this was set up very well in the city of Augusta. So that race morning, swim start was a river swim. There were no shuttles. So we had to walk on the run course just over a mile, take about 15-20 minutes, walk with a friend in the morning. You kind of be able to ease those nerves that you may have, and it's a good warm-up. Problem is, you got to leave about transition in order to get to that swim start, which starts, and seed yourself, get in there, get in line, and then be able to get in the water. This was a non-wetsuit swim. Under normal terms, when we don't have this long heat wave, that it would be okay in the future to be wetsuit legal, but we've had such a drought in the Northeast and such a heat wave that the water temperature constantly stayed in the 78-degree range all weekend. So it was a lot warmer than they anticipated to be in that river. As far as the river itself and swim start went super fast. They have a makeshift dock right there, 3 people at a time into the water. Straight swim, following the buoys out, a small turn, and then a 90-degree turn to get to the makeshift dock to get out of the water. If you don't know, in the water there, the logo for the race changed to a sturgeon. If you don't know what a sturgeon is, I highly recommend you look it up. Maybe look up some YouTube videos of them. They can be up to 6 feet plus long fish. They are bottom feeders, but are known to breach the water surface. So if you're just hanging out by the river day before the race and it's nice and flat and you're looking out there, you're going to see possibly this fish come jumping out of the water over 4 feet long and go splashing back in. So we were going to swim with the sturgeon that day. They don't really bite. I don't even think they have teeth. They don't bother people, but you'll probably see them if you're out there. There was a few people that said they saw them swimming in the water or some fins. Hey, it's part of life. You're going out there in the water. It's better than sharks. So we were with the current that morning. There was a current going downriver. The tide was going out, so that helped out a bunch. Super straight swim. Very easy. A lot of support out there. The water was, well, just don't drink it. That's my tip. You'll find out why. Try and have a smooth swim. It's going to be fast. Probably going to be a PR swim for you on a 70.3 distance, especially if you're going to be able to wear a wetsuit. You're going to fly through that swim. There was some crazy times, even non-wetsuit times for this race. And you're going to get there for T1. T1 now starts, everything starts to get a little technical at that point. T1 is a very steep uphill carpeted area to get up the riverbank. You're going to cross over the run course and then run up about quarter mile to transition. Very steep grade on concrete to get up to transition. So it is a longer T1, so expect that time to be there. If you like to run your T1 times, you're going to get a little tired getting up to that bike. But all in all, things go very well in transition there. They do a very good job setting it up, marking everything out, where you're in, where you're out. And then out onto the bike. Let's talk about bike course. So you're going to get on your bike. You're going to head out. You're going to continue through a fort nearby on the other side of the river through Augusta. The first couple miles are technical, kind of uphill, a lot of turns. That was one big thing on the bike course, was a lot of turns. Going to make your way outside of the city of Augusta. Once you hit the next 10-mile stretch going southbound on the bike course, it was nice. It was a nice area to kind of just settle in. Not a lot of turns, some long stretches, hills, rolling hills there, a couple climbs, one or two, and you're gonna keep moving. As far as the course as a whole, 3,200 plus feet of elevation, big difference from the Old Orchard Beach course, which was about 2,000 feet. Depending how you train or where you come from, I mean, if you live in a hilly area, you're not really going to say it's overly hilly. If you come from a flatter area, you're going to say that was pretty hilly. So properly trained for the hills, it won't be so bad, but I did think it was a little more than rolling. Unfortunately, they didn't drop the bike course information out until about 8 weeks before the race. Nobody had the bike route or the elevation. They just knew that it would be a rolling course. Same with the run course. So it would have been nice to get that information a little quicker to kind of know what we were getting ourselves into. Overall, the bike course was beautiful. You saw the footage in our part 1 video that we had prior to this and kind of drove the course, showed you some of the views there. The road conditions, overall, majority very smooth. Obviously in and out of the city, get some rough patches, that's to be expected. But expect to climb a little bit. Expect to get into that climbing gear. Really have to get up there. Be intentional with your downhills. That'll help you. But there really was no... To me, rolling hill means if you're able to motor up that hill and be intentional pedaling down the hill, it's going to help you into the next hill. A rolling hill. This just didn't seem that way. It would be you'd have to climb, you'd come down, but there'd always seem to be either a sharp turn you have to stop for before the next climb, or the climb was just too great to take your momentum, majority of the way up the rolling hill. And towards the end, you could just tell people on the course were kind of like just frustrated around mile 50, 45, that they're just like, weren't prepared for that type of course. So train your hills if you go into this course. It'll definitely make it worth your while. You'll have some more energy on the run. But overall, beautiful bike course. You're out in the country. You're enjoying it. You're seeing all the sights in Maine. It really is beautiful up there. So super, clean, very smooth bike course up there. Into T2, again, very smooth, in and out. You hit the run course is when you go back out towards along the riverbank. Run course is on along most of it. Majority is the rail trail that you saw in the prior video. Pretty shaded on race day. Kind of annoying parts were at the ends when you had to loop into the two turnarounds into the two towns. Just mainly because you're going from the rail trail up over basically a bridge or into town, into their main road, and just it was very steep climbs getting in and out of those areas. Very quick climbs, just ones that definitely, after running flat for a while and you have to go downhill or up these, they're quad busters. They're definitely you're gonna feel it in your legs. Aid stops along the way. We'll talk aid stops. Aid stops on the bike were every 15, 30, 45, the typical. Kind of in some weird spots though, so you had to be careful. They were either at the top of a hill or kind of just weren't on that flat stretch of road where you know it's coming, you see it, you can slow down, grab what you need, and continue on before you hit the next hill. It just was always seemed to be like kind of in an awkward location, which, is fine, whatever. I'm mostly self-sufficient on the bike course, but just know if you're planning on stopping at these aid stops, just kind of scope them out when you drive the course beforehand. You'll see them marked off the day before. Aid stops on the run were just about every mile, sometimes a little further. Good. Problem with the run course is it's very congested on that rail trail. It's a narrow path where people are going both ways, and it's 2 loops, so everybody is in that area. Doesn't really stretch out too much. So you do kind of weave in and out of people, weave in and around the aid stops if you need them or not. But overall, on that run course rather, it was smooth. You were able to kind of settle in. Thankfully, you're out of the heat. It could be a lot worse. You could be going through the city and just getting torched by the sun. So we had it good in that aspect. So that run course, again, good. It wasn't anything, overly abundant, but it was good. It was close and kind of compact where there was a lot of support on the course. A lot of people setting up in the shade along the rail trails. There was people out in the village, the 2 towns on either side of the run course, cheering you on. So the community itself definitely seemed to embrace. In that aspect, there was a lot of energy out there. Sometimes at those turnarounds on each end of the bike course, if it's sunny out like it was and hot, you're definitely going to get roasted, but then you get back into the shade where the aid stops are and you're able to ice up, throw some water on yourself and kind of cool down a little bit. So the course overall, definitely a lot different. When you hear the word Maine 70.3, if you've done that race before in Maine, don't anticipate anything to be the same. It's a completely different course in a completely different location. Definitely a little more technical, but overall, set up for the best I think they could do there. Do I recommend the race? 100%. It's beautiful up there. If it's a drivable distance for you, it's definitely a race you should do at least once. Would I go back and do the race? Right now, no, I don't have any ambitions to go back to Maine, specifically for this race. I've been to Maine for 70.3s 3 times now, so I don't envision myself. There's some other races I'd rather do before I go back and tackle this course again. If you have any questions on anything, you're anticipating signing up for this race next year and you want some insight, some tips or tricks or whatever, please feel free to reach out, comment below. If you've done the race this year in Augusta, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on it, any experiences or any tips or tricks or anything you want to throw in there for some people. And then we'll get into it real quick. We're going to talk about my race day, kind of how it went, how it unfolded versus how I thought it was going to unfold. We're going to do that real quick. After we sip on some, again, not a paid promotion, I just want to support a product that I think is really, interesting and awesome, specifically the owner, which I linked up with on Instagram lately. We're talking about Long Run Coffee. They make light, medium, dark roasts. It's electrolyte infused coffee, so it's made for the athlete and for the runner. I myself prefer the medium roast, but hey, it's pretty good. I like it, and you're going to get a discount too. Long Run Coffee, giving it a try at checkout. I'll put the link in the description below. So thank you again for keeping me moving. We're talking now my personal race day. What happened or what didn't happen. So you heard about it. I was going in with some maybe great ambitions of a 5:15 for this course, or maybe if I could just finish under 5:30, I'd be super happy. End of the day, I believe we finished with about a 5:35. Definitely not my best 70.3 time, but for the day, I was actually pretty happy with it. In the morning, we woke up very early, just after 3, and things just weren't sitting right in my stomach that morning. We had some GI issues. I'm not going to get into any further on that and let your imagination go wild on it. Which then basically anything I had in me, I felt hydration or fuel-wise, kind of was gone for the day. which then set my stomach upside down where I couldn't finish breakfast, couldn't finish my normal morning routines as far as fueling. So we were kind of starting the day off on the wrong foot. We walked down to the swim start. We were doing no wetsuit, jumped in. We were moving, hit the first few buoys, but just my stomach started to turn a little bit. Unfortunately as well, I think I might have ingested a little bit of that river water, which then was spiraling my stomach out of control in the water. So I did have to take a few stops, a few rests, kind of collect myself through that swim just because I felt like I couldn't get flat in the water and streamlined. Just my stomach was kind of just not happy with me. Thankfully, with the current and all that, I actually got out in the average amount of time that I would usually take to do a 70.3 swim. Although some people had some blistering fast times, and I feel like I should have had a better swim time that day. All hope wasn't lost for the day. I got out of the water, looked at my watch, said, all right, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Unfortunately, though, that whole T1 uphill thing that I talked about really smoked my legs getting out of there. And then getting on the bike. Unfortunately, I felt like I should have had a stronger bike, but my stomach just started to become just solid. Like it was just felt like a ball inside my stomach. It was hard to the touch. I didn't know if I wanted to. I actually felt at one point that if I would just throw up right now, I'd probably feel a lot better. I was just burping up the whole time, and it was just nutritionally, it just couldn't take in the fuel that I needed to, and just kind of got behind a little bit on the bike. Didn't take in as much as I usually do, and was just a little behind. Rookie move as well. The salt vials I usually carry on the bike and the run, mainly for the run. I didn't pack it when I went up to Maine. I don't know how that was an oversight. And I couldn't find any in the village. They only had the capsules, which I had brought up some, so I did take some of those at the end of the bike. Kind of that might have helped my stomach a little bit and help with maybe, preamp on any cramps I would have for the run later on with the heat. So we're behind on that too. That was more of a mental thing, knowing that I wasn't going to have that for the run. And again, it could be all mental, but if you're used to training a certain way and doing a certain thing, I recommend you do that on race day. So we got through the bike. Wasn't as fast as I thought. We just squeaked in under 3 hours for that bike course, about 18.7 miles per hour, whatever it was. Started feeling a little better after the bike. Got through T2, got on the run, and hit the first 2 miles fast. Was just like, well, we're here. Let's see what time we can do. Let's just hammer out and start seeing if these legs can move. They moved the first few miles, but again, just that stomach, and wasn't able to take in what I really wanted to take in. Just started to progressively slow up a little bit. I found a certain pace that I think I could handle, so we stayed at that. We hammered through the heat. Up until the last couple aid stops, we were doing pretty strong, and then just walked those couple aid stops towards the end of the run just to really cool myself off, get enough water in me over my head, some ice down, in the tri-suit, and just cool off a little bit. So the run mostly was uneventful, just kind of grinded it out, hammered it out. It was good to see some of the friends that I saw up there passing each other on the run. They were just smoking it, so that gave me a little motivation to put some pep in my step. And then got to that final loop of the run. I had to go up that hill again towards transition, pass it to go to the finish line. And, that part of the race felt like it went by so quick. Felt like it took forever to get to that hill, to get to the finish line. And then, the next thing I know, that's it. The day's over. I knew I was in an interesting place with my stomach after the race, because usually after these races I feel pretty good. Definitely stomach-wise I feel good, and then I'm able to kind of just hit the food afterwards and eat like a champ. I just had no drive to eat anything. I don't believe I even really ate anything until halfway through the ride home that night. It is what it is. I think combination of maybe just some nerves getting back to racing this year, a new course, kind of being up there with really no support crew, no family up there, to see out on the course. A little unknown of what the day would bring, knowing that it was going to be super hot out. just kind of all these factors, but I think we grinded it out to just a decent finish that day. I'm looking forward to having some better finishes this year. We'll talk about that in the next video, where the next races, where we're going to lead into those races, those next 70.3 distances. But it was a good day overall. You know, I was kind of bummed at the end just because of the way I felt, but after a couple days getting my thoughts together, that's why I waited to make this video. I just feel like if you let everything settle down, you don't ever want to talk about it right away, and then you can really dig back in and see, you know, how the day went. One thing I wanted to bring up is at the Ironman Village. I don't know if I just never noticed them before, but you know, typically they have the race t-shirts with your names on them, like the race day shirts for each event, which is nice. This year they offered, at least I haven't seen them, is that type of shirt with the names on the back with the logo in a very good quality tech shirt for not much more money than those t-shirts are on those tables. So if you're able to get to the villages quicker and everybody's offering these, that's definitely a nice option. It's a nice summer shirt. It's so hot out, you don't even want to wear a t-shirt right now in New York. But these are definitely lighter. You can run in them, just better fitting. So I like the quality of the shirt. That's kind of, usually go there, you see the same stuff, same water bottle, same hatch, just different logo. But this was something I noticed that was like, oh, that's nice. Let me scoop one of those up. As far as, you know, the shirt you get there was nice. It was a little different color this year. They had you know, this maroon type shirt for Maine. One thing also I noticed this year with some of the shirts is, you know, this is the typical shirt I'm talking about. Your name's on the back, regular t-shirt. Good part is, if you noticed last year in a lot of the races, at least the ones I did, was they would have your, you know, the name shirt for your race, you know, Ironman whatever, 70.3 whatever, and they didn't have any dates last year. Mostly, I'm assuming because of COVID, they weren't sure if some of the races were going to be canceled or moved or whatever. But this year, I thought that was a thing of the past maybe. They're back to having the date on the shirt, which is super cool. I just think it gives it that personalization for the day and the you know, just to remember it. So all the stuff had the date on it again, which was nice. As well, when they, you know, cross the finish line, every event they've done so far, they give you a finisher hat. That as well had 2022 finisher on it. Chattanooga last year, they didn't have that finisher on there. And it's black. That's cool. Usually I've had all white ones so far. So this will get hung up next to the other ones. But at least it's just something different. They did offer some, you know, newer colors and stuff, which, again, it's usually the same stuff. So it was nice to see that little bit of change at the Village this year. So that's it for the recap. If you, again, have any questions on anything related to the race, Ironman Maine and Augusta, give me a shout, give me an email, give me a comment below, whatever it is. I'll be happy to discuss it with you. Again, I recommend the race. I may not be up there, but who knows? If you get enough people that I know going up there, I'll come up, I'll support you. For now, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to the update. I'm sorry it took a few extra days, but I just wanted to, you know, make sure I hit everything. Get after it. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Don't forget, balance out life 1 mile at a time, and we'll see you on the next one.
So, how was your race?
Good.
So, were you sweaty?
Yes.
How sweaty?
Very sweaty. Sweating like the sun.
So, what place did you come in?
First place.
Good job. How many pairs of clothes did you have to change into?
500.
How long was your swim?
Like 2,000 miles.
So, I like your shirt.
Thank you. You can give me a free hug. Thank you.
So, you went all the way back to Chattanooga?
Yeah! It got Katagookie.
Are you crazy?
No.
I think you're crazy.